Most people feel that they're being confused by the information from broadcast news. This could be the effect of the information being delivered too quickly or of it's being poorly organized. Analysis of the information content of a typical broadcast news story shows that news stories are far lower in information density than the maximum information density with which most people can cope at any one time. So the information in typical broadcast news stories is poorly organized. Okay, so the conclusion of the last sentence, they're concluding that the information in typical broadcast news stories is poorly organized. Why are they doing that? Because most people are confused and they're saying it has to be one or the other. Either the information is, if people are confused, it means either the info is poorly organized or it's being delivered too quickly. And their analysis reflects that it contains far less information, basically, than the maximum that we can.
So yeah, so what does this premise do to our argument?
This is making them choose one, I guess.
Yeah, so we say, okay, this could be either the information is delivered too quickly or it's poorly organized. We essentially say that it's not too quickly, right?
Yeah.
All right, so what are we assuming here?
Although, like, is it really true that, I mean, is that an assumption in itself? I mean, I feel like the answer to this is going to be that they're assuming that it can't be like, hang on.
No, tell me what your thoughts. Tell me your thoughts. I think you're onto something.
Yeah.
Like, what is your issue with this right now?
Let's see. I mean, it feels like there are multiple issues. One is just because it's lower in information density. Why does that mean it's poorly organized, right?
And well, then why are we saying it's because it's poorly organized? Because of what is said. Because
they're saying the stories are lower in information density than what most people can cope with, and so they're assuming that means it's poorly organized.
Why though? Why are they assuming it's poorly organized then? Because why?
Oh, okay. I think I understand. Basically, because the news stories are far lower information density than the maximum that we could cope with, it should be easy to understand. But because it's not, they're saying it must be presented in a weird way, like it must be poorly organized.
But why are we saying that it's those two things?
Yeah, right. Exactly. That's an assumption they're making.
Yes, this is my issue. It's like, why are these the only two things that it could? Right. Like, yes, this could be these two things, but are those our only two things?
No.
Like, couldn't it be neither of these? That's my issue with it.
Yeah. That was the next thing I was thinking of. That what those two just kind of came out of nowhere. Like, why does it have to be those two? Okay.
Or only those two, right?
Only those two. Or like, why does it have to be like one or the other? Yeah. Okay. So let's see. It's not the number of broadcast stories. Oh, A is interesting.
It is not the number of broadcast stories to which a person is exposed.
Because it's providing an alternate source. Right? This is interesting. I think I like A.
Is that needed in order for it to be poorly? It is not the number.
Because they're assuming it can't be any other thing, right?
But it is not the broadcast news story to which the person is, it is not the source. Oh yeah.
Okay. So they have to.
Oh yeah, yes, yeah, I like A. Okay.
I like A. Yeah, it's kind of actually like the last one we just did. Okay. Poor organization of information news makes it impossible to understand or information. I don't think they're saying this.
Is impossible
not, it's not impossible
as confusion?
No.
Excellent.
Not. Okay. Being exposed to more broadcast news than going to help. They never brought up anything like that. Most people can cope with a very high information density. I think the reason this one doesn't matter is because they did it in a comparison way, right? Like they were just saying the news story is less than what most people can, but we don't know what most people, like this just seems irrelevant, right?
Most people can cope with a very high. Yeah, that's like, okay, cool.
Just, so what?
That doesn't guarantee that it has to be
one or the other.
Yeah.
And then E, some people are being overwhelmed by too much information. That was never really mentioned.
Like at least one person, like that doesn't need to be true. Yeah, I do like that it's mild, but it's just not necessary.
But A is correct because if they're assuming it has to be one of these two things, that means it cannot be anything else. That could be potentially a reason. Right?
Excellent. Yes.
is it, I forget, is this the question type where they often have that, where it's like, sometimes like the answer is like, ruling out an alternative, like that happens. There's certain question types where that happens often, right? And those answers are sometimes harder to recognize because when you first read it, you might think, oh, this is irrelevant. This has nothing to do with the stimulus, but then it actually is relevant because it's like, does that make sense? I forget. Is this the one that where that happens a lot?
Like where like it could be like a left field thing, kind of.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
This is the one, right?
This is the one where like it's almost sometimes, and this is actually more of like the 80s, where like I say that the test doesn't change and it doesn't, but it's like it's almost like slaps you in the face because it's like so it's like, well, yeah, I guess that like if you understand the goal of the question type, it's easy, but if you don't, like you think it's irrelevant. Like, yeah, but if you understand what the stimulus is saying, it's like, yeah, A has to be true.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. I do have to get to my next session, but go ahead and